Alex, hey, how you doing? I got your coffee poster up here. I got it in PDF. Thanks so much for including the PDF. It's so much easier to look at things in PDF than it is. So, because we can zoom in, zoom out, things like that. So you got your design and everyday life, and those of you who did coffee, yeah, I hear you loud and clear because I'm kind of a coffee head. Yeah, by 10:20, I'm already on probably my second pot. Yeah, I'm really a big fan of coffee, so I get it. I'm just thinking of looking at the piece, and I'm thinking, is there a way we can make this more interesting? Right now, I think there's a few things going on that kind of really need to be fine tuned. Okay, and I get it. It's not an easy spec sheet to follow. I mean, just getting all the components in place is one thing, and then so you the one thing I'm seeing in your work is this. I have two things really immediately is that you're bleeding over here, but over here you are so close to the margin. That would be considered a no print zone. You're bleeding over here, that's fine. But the type is just so close. And that's where the grid comes in. That's where that inside grid would be, you know, starting somewhere like that. So you have those nice margins on the outside of your composition and to give you a buffer. Now you can bleed over those margins, of course, absolutely, but not necessarily bringing your type outside those margins. Okay, and then you have the grid structure, which you're all left aligned on your type here. So you're really not following a grid per se. So that's another thing. I really want you to work with grids, Alex. I want you to review that video and just really think about working with grids. It's not easy, but once you get it, you'll be like, oh yeah, easy. Now I get it, and you'll never struggle with grids again. It's just weird. It's like that light bulb goes off at different times for different students. So keep working on grids. I think the message, and we talk about message making, and I think the message here is a little bit, it's unclear. And I'm going to tell you why. It's unclear because you're using a product here, and the product is the Keurig machine. So you're saying design in everyday life. You're saying coffee is a part of my everyday life, but image-wise, it looks like the Keurig is everyday part of your life. Do you see what I'm saying? So before reading anything, and we know this subject is about the designers, one of the favorite designers, things in the designer's life, we're going to look at this before reading anything, and we're going to go, oh, the Keurig machine. We're not going to say coffee. Do you see what I'm saying? So I'm thinking of interesting ways we can do this. I'm thinking we could get rid of the machine altogether and just use coffee. So on the right here, you could have coffee plants with the red, right here on the whole side of this composition, coffee plants with the little red beans, as they're still growing. And you could probably maybe even mask those out in Photoshop so you just have the white background with, you can see the white through the leaves and just those leaves and the coffee plant coming up all the way to the side of this composition. Then compose this. Do you know what I'm saying? Compose this. Don't just set it, compose it. There's some great examples in our discussion board. Erica's done a wonderful job with her title composition. Okay, so compose your title. Look at your kerning. Remember, we studied this. Look how far that V is from the E. Look at how far your kerning is in the word every day. I mean, it's really widely spaced. So much more. Look at the distance between the D and the E. So you got to get in there and kern, and you really have to pay attention to all of your little typographic things like your regs. Right now you've got kind of like these wavy patterns in your regs. Remember, you don't want that. You want long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short, without noticing, not long, short, just like long, short, so you don't get these. See this? That wavy pattern right there? You don't want that. Okay, so as I was saying, you could have your coffee leaves, your coffee plant over here, growing. Then your images then you have this, of course, is your finished, or how did we say that? And the result. That's your result. It's the cup of coffee, and that's great. It's bleeding. That's really interesting. Good placement. You'll have to recompose when you recompose the poster if you decide to, but it's a good idea. But then these two component parts are kind of really boring. They are. This one just has a hand cut off in the middle of nowhere. These are coffee filters. How exciting are coffee filters? So with my idea, you could go the coffee plants, you get the cup of coffee, then you could have maybe a grounding process, showing a grounding process, and then maybe a cultivating process or something like that. Do you know what I'm saying? So those would be the components of coffee. Then you have the end product. Then you would have the big image of the coffee, And let me see. So that would give you the big image of the coffee. That would give you the image of the object in use. So yeah, one of those images would be, if you have somebody harvesting the thing, or even showing somebody drinking a cup of coffee. So those would be my recommendations. And I really, really try to make this an interesting composition. Now, and one of the tricks you can do is you can use color in your headlines, or to draw attention to typographic areas by pulling color out of, like, let's say if you use those coffee plants over here. You can sample color out of that and use those in your type areas. So, all right, just a couple of suggestions. If you have any questions, or if I need to clarify or anything else like that, just feel free to let me know, and I'll be glad to do so. Okay, good job. Thank you.